Okay, welcome back. Let's move on to the chapter 6, function part 2. So today we'll introduce what is position and keyword argument. The arguments of the function can be sent using positional arguments or keyword arguments. So when we calling a function, you can pass arguments. Arguments just like parameters that would pass the arguments to the parameters. Yes, arguments means when we use the function, we'll make what the real value or real variable we want to transfer, we want to pass. So we pass the argument to the parameters. And there are two kinds of arguments. One is position argument and another is keyword argument. So the order of the arguments that needs to be sent when using positional arguments must be corresponded to the parameters of the function header. For example, the following function prints a message n times. So this is a function, we call it n print, ln, right? So there are two parameters, right? So one is the message and the other one is n. So actually, what's the functional between these two different parameters? Yes, we can see. For I in range n, so n just like integer, right? So it can be count, can be as a loop. So a message must be something like just like something string or value, then it could be print. So when we transfer or we pass our arguments, for example, the message maybe we want to be FJCU, the n we want to be 5 times. So please print FJCU 5 times. But how do we know which argument or which parameter we stand for can mapping which one? So there are two methods. One is positional, the other is keyword. Okay, so when we're using the keyword arguments to call a function and pass each argument with the name equal value. For example, if we want to assign, for example, the value we transfer, the value is 5 and the message is good. So we have to tell the function n equal 5, message equal good. So you will see that actually we will send or we passed 5 to n and send good to message. But actually, the function is defined like this. So the order may be, exchange, maybe upside down. So actually, this is the message, this is the integer. But if we assign with the key name, yeah, just like name equal value, the argument, the parameter equal our argument. This is our argument. Right? We make this value assigned to this parameter. We make this value assigned to this parameter. Then this parameter's position can be exchanged because we have already tell which variable equal or which parameter equal which value. So it will may not have any something wrong. So when we're using the keyword arguments, the arguments can appear in any order because we have already assigned, so the function will do not make any mistake. But if we'll use position, so for example, it is possible to mix positional arguments with keyword arguments at a time. It means when we default, we do not give the name. So the default, the function will think the first would be the message. The second one would be the n, right? Because it's positional arguments. So default, it will in the order. So first parameter you give just like message and the other one just like n, right? But if you use the keyword arguments, it will be very clear because the function will be assigned, fine assigned to n, good assigned to message. But we also have some situation just like a mix. positional arguments with the keyword arguments. At this time, the positional arguments cannot appear after the keyword arguments. For example, suppose the header of the function is as follow. We def a function P1, P2, P3. Yeah. So when we use the function and we assign the argument, we assign the argument to the parameters. So default, the first one will just like which one? P1, right? Yeah. And because default is positional, but P2, start from P2, you started to use the keyword argument, means you assign. So the 4 was assigned to P2, and then 10 will assign to P3. So we can also do that. Instead of that, you cannot use appear the keyword arguments before the positional arguments. It means we cannot do like this. Yeah, we cannot do like this because first we know it's P1, right? And the second we know is P2, but he won't understand what is the 10 because you have appeared the keyword. So you cannot use that. The other parts cannot be positional. So positional should be in front of the parts. We cannot after that. So now I want you to open your textbook to the page 118. Yeah, there are a lot of exercise that we can choose and make the practice whether it is correct, right? So we try to do that. Okay, so I think you can find the page 118. There are some default functions. I think the depth of the function is P1, P2, P3, P4, right? And which one function is correct? And you can check because we cannot use that the positional argument appear after that. So if the situation like this, it would not be acceptable, right? So if once when the keyword argument appear, then the following have to be keyword argument, cannot be the positional. So if you want to use the positional, please before the keywords, okay, then you can use the positional. Okay, next. So when calling a function with the arguments, the references of each argument will be sent to the parameter. So because of data in Python is an object, so the variables of the object are actually references to the objects. So when a function with the arguments is triggered, the references of each argument will be sent to the parameter. So this is called pass by reference, pass by references. So if the argument is a value or string, even if the parameter is changed in the function, the argument will not change. So please references our example program 6.4. Yeah, like this. So this is an example here. At first, we can see first line is the main function, right? So main function we define x equal 1. We print before the call x is. Yeah. And before it, we call another function. We call it increment x, right? So we will call this function. And finally, we find this function will make the n because you call that n, right? So x will become the n here, and n will be +1. And we print is a backslash t. It means we'll jump 8 spaces, right? So n inside the function is what? Yeah. So after the call x is, so we try to do that and try to see what is the differences and what's the result.